The Backrooms movie is finally here, and you might not even realize that it's the biggest victory for gamers in the last decade. Now, when I hear the word Backrooms, one thing comes to mind. Obunga, Kanye West, and many more chasing you throughout them in Gmod. So if you were to tell me that a Backrooms movie will become one of the biggest successes in cinema history, I'd look at you and say you're crazy. These Gmod chases are one of the reasons why it succeeded and why critics are so angry. I'm sure you've heard about the Backrooms movie, and you probably made up your mind about it already. But what if I told you that it's one of the most successful movies ever, making 21 times its budget? And that's because it pulled off something few movies dared to: create a film for an audience that spent most of its time online, aka Gen Z. And most of that audience is, you guessed it, gamers. You see, the Backrooms has started a small revolution, and that's a shift of mainstream media towards the younger generation. Now, you could argue that the Minecraft movie was the first to try, but that movie did not take itself seriously.
Chicken jockey!
And how could I forget the FNAF movie, which got lobotomized by the PG-13 rating. But the Backrooms are different, because they started out in the lair of internet culture, 4chan. From here, the community started working on the lore, creating hundreds and hundreds of different levels of the Backrooms, from iconic ones like the pool rooms to less than inspired ones. But it didn't stop here. Memes started being made, and suddenly, Gmod's uncanny atmosphere became ideal to experience the liminality of the Backrooms. And after a couple of years, solid standalone games started being released. Okay, so what's the point of this redundant history lesson? Well, this history is the reason why we're so fond of the Backrooms in the first place. We grew up along with them. However, the older generations, the critics, they don't care about the Backrooms. For them, it's just another horror movie. We are the ones who are seeing our culture be represented in the mainstream media. Just like the older generations were able to witness their Marvel and DC comics be finally put on the big screen, we are experiencing a similar shift. However, this time it's a lot more special, because watching a movie instead of reading a comic is a better experience, but watching a movie instead of playing a game isn't, especially when it's a horror game. So imagine if people who had no interest in games before watch the movie and are like, damn, the Backrooms are pretty cool, I want more, and they start looking up the games. Does all of this stuff sound delusional? Maybe. But this is the first time something like this has happened. The people who watched the Mario, the Sonic, the Minecraft movie, they were mostly just gamers. But Backrooms are a genuine part of Gen Z culture. This isn't just for gamers. And now games have the opportunity to become the media. Seeing the endlessness of the Backrooms on the big screen is amazing, and combined with the horror of being chased, you have an amazing premise. But imagine you're the one being chased. Instead of observing, you're the main character. Don't just take my word for it. Boot up Backrooms at 1 AM in complete silence. Just you, the buzzing of the lights, your footsteps, and no end in sight. Sure, there is no shitty jump scare waiting around the corner, but spend enough time with your own thoughts and you might just get a bit paranoid. But there is one big problem: accessibility. I'm gonna give you a very cursed example. Among Us. You could talk to anyone who wasn't fucking 80 years old and they would know what it is. So what's the big problem I mentioned? Booting up a computer, downloading Steam, signing up, buying the game, downloading the game, none of this is fun. To get Among Us, you just boot up the pre-installed app store and download it with one tap. So yeah, games are better, but the whole ordeal around making a game playable is just boring. It's gonna take a few years to get more streamlined. Until then, you probably won't get assigned Disco Elysium as mandatory reading in school. But one day, someone might, and that will be the greatest victory. Though it's gonna take a generation or two and Asmongold taking more than one shower a month. Thanks for watching. All likes and subscribes will go towards an Asmongold shower charity fund.